All right, it is like the first day of class. However, we haven't seen you guys in a while. I haven't seen you guys ever. This is my first time seeing you guys. So don't show this in the future. Okay. Oh, I did forget something. You might have noticed I've got Zoom running. So I record all of the lectures that I'm giving you in this class. And if you're sick, you have COVID, you have a problem, um, and you need to miss class, you have options. You can attend by Zoom because it's running anyway. And the Zoom information is actually in the course. So we'll see it in the, get rid of this. Oh, how I had it open. That thing was in the way. You'll see the Zoom in the Zoom on the left-hand side here. Obviously, this is optional. This is today's meeting of next week, and it's all set up for the next 16 weeks. So if you are sick, you need to send me an email message to get permission to attend by Zoom. And all those people have. So that, I can make sure that, especially if you're an international student or something, that we make sure we stay within the guidelines of what's allowable. You can't take the entire course by Zoom. And if you're an international student that's here on a work F1 visa, student visa, and you're required to take classes and sit in class, that option is not available for you. However, if you're not, you're a domestic student, you have a problem getting here at 8 o'clock in the morning. I see lots of people missing. So they're not all online either, which is interesting. Okay, so send me an email message and we can discuss your situation and come up with a compromise that might involve some face-to-face meetings along with some Zoom meetings or all Zoom meetings, or we'll figure it out. But I needs to be in a negotiation and I need to make sure you fit within the requirements. So, and then they're not my requirements, they're the university requirements. So that merits a email discussion or an office hours discussion, one-on-one. I don't want to talk about individual situations right now. But I have made exceptions, and it is an exception, not the rule. It's an exception to the rule. The rule or the schedule says we're here on Mondays, and that's the only day of the week we're here. So the exception to the rule is this whole Zoom stuff. So anyway, so keep that in mind. I will take everybody's personal situation into consideration, but I do need to discuss it with you before you arbitrarily show up. So just FYI. Okay, the book. So I don't have reading assignments listed in the syllabus, but while I have the book up, I thought maybe I would mention a few things about what you need to do between now and next week. So next week when I see you, I'm going to dive into algorithms. We're basically going to just dig right into the first one, no more introduction. And so in order to get there, I really would like you to sort of look at chapter 1, which is the introduction. If you can get through chapter 1, it's really basic. In fact, if you've taken algorithms and data structures before, it's going to be a lot overview. When I say read it, don't like read it just to read it. Skim it. You guys are all familiar with this information, and I tell you, chapter 1 is kind of easy. Then I recommend just reviewing. Just look at it. Is there anything in here I don't understand? Is there anything in here I've never seen before? Kind of thing. If you can get through chapter 1, we're in really good shape. So it's the importance of algorithms. And then you'll notice that in the book, we're not using them in this class, but in the book, there's a ton of these little exercises. Do not worry about answering any of these exercises. You can do them voluntarily, optionally on your own to check your understanding of concepts and things. However, they're not required for this class. I don't assign any homework assignments or anything of that nature out of the book. Because this is the 3rd edition of the book. You might not get the 3rd edition, you might get the 4th or the 2nd. I don't even know what edition of the book you're going to get. And it doesn't really matter because the book really hasn't changed that much. The 3rd is, I think, the latest and greatest. And it's been out for such a long time that it's not really going to be an issue. So All right, so if you make it through chapter 1, you find that there's absolutely nothing interesting to read through here because half the chapter is actually review questions. So then I would move on to chapter 2, the fundamentals of analysis and algorithm efficiency, which I'm going to actually start in today, just a little bit, see how far we get, and look at the analysis framework as well, which is actually going to get into the notations and big O and all of the stuff that you may have already been exposed to already, which is good. We're going to build a little bit on this because we're going to analyze code and syntax. So programming with a hands-on approach. So if you've done this mathematically just by doing calculations, now we're going to look at source code and we're going to do it that way instead. So it's no longer a math class anymore. Now it's a programming class or an implementation class. So if you like programming, you've come to the right spot. Which brings me to assignment number 1. So read chapter 1, get through as far as chapter 2, because you're going to have to do chapter 2 anyway, pretty soon. So get a copy of the book, start reading chapters 1 and chapters 2, skip through the stuff you already know, look at some of the stuff that you don't know already. Get yourself primed for the lecture that we're going to have next week, basically. Is the goal there. I just want to go over assignment number 1 now because it is available, and I have had a couple people look at it. So here it is here. So the assignments in, this is the format of all of the assignments for this class, by the way. They'll be in multiple parts. So although there's only 7 assignments, each assignment has 2 or 3 parts to it, talking about 2 or 3 different things. For example, this first part is you're going to write a program in any programming language that you want that creates a database and uses this database implementation using a linked list. All right, how many people have never been exposed to linked lists? That's what I was hoping for. You guys have all seen linked lists before. But what language have you seen it in? Probably C++. It's probably the hardest language in the world to do a linked list in. Because you have all that dynamic memory for the nodes. You've got all of the news and the deletes and all of that crap to work with. If you don't want to work with C++ because you spent the time to learn it already, I recommend using Java. And in the Java programming language, you're going to discover that there's a built-in util library called linked list. And you can just make an instance of that object. In C++, you actually got to make the object, and then you got to make all of the methods to go along with it. And then you have to invent this thing called a node, and you have to do all this other stuff. Java, you just slap it together with pre-built components. You just add an item and remove an item using a method call on a linked list. So that's an easier approach. I'm for easy. Yeah.
Like just for fun, can you also like try experimenting with me and Python? I just want to like see like
Yeah, actually not for fun, but for the assignment. If you don't like Java, do it in Python. Python actually has some pretty good built-in data structures as well. So we're not really learning the data structures in this class. You've taken data structures and algorithms. It was the prerequisite, I believe, or one of the lower level classes that you took in the beginning of your program. You might already have, and I hope you do have, although I'm going to go over linked lists with you and talk about some nuances of it. Primarily circular linked lists, doubly linked lists, like some variations of it. But for this first assignment, if you can pull out what you know about linked lists, you're going to practice that. It's an implementation where it's going to do a lot of searching. So you're going to have to insert a new record, delete a record, search of the database. There's a little menu that's going to come up that you're going to create that comes up that gives the user the option to do all of these different tasks on your linked list data structure. And so you've got some things in here. You're not going to remember any of this stuff unless you download the video and take a look at it, which is another reason why I record the videos or record the lectures, is because now you can go back and say, what did she say about that assignment? And you can actually re-hear what I said about it. So you should, we've got some fields with the first, the last name, the code, the grade. So we've got a lot of data. You're probably going to put that into a node of some sort, and then put the node inside of the tree, and then create the traversal through the tree or to the through the list. Like linked lists are nothing more than a flattened tree anyway. So long story short, you're going to abide by some of these specs, like the insert function should work regardless of the position. And the position 0 refers to the position before the first record. Now, it depends on the language that you're working with. If you are using Java, you don't have this level of control. You do, you actually kind of do, but you may not. Let's say you're using a different language XYZ. And if you think it's an obscure language that I might not be familiar with or something, you can always send me an email message and say, hey, can I use XYZ? And I can say, sure, or I can approve or disapprove, depending upon what the language is. But think simple. Try to make it as simple as possible. We don't want to make it really complex. So you're just going to have some specs for the deletion, and then you have the search. So it's all about the searching. So if the student is found, all records associated with it. And so what this is going to do is it's going to reinforce or kind of give you an idea how linked list works, but it's going to refresh your memory on programming. So, and programming with linked lists. And so it's more of a warm-up exercise for the programming aspects of this class, which are not difficult at all. It's pretty easy. And then part 2, it's no programming. So there's only one programming question per each one of these assignments usually. So this one here on part 2, you're going to answer the following questions with no programming. And you're going to do basically give what is the runtime complexity of the following code fragment in big O notation. And what you're doing is you're going to be looking at source code. And I'm going to go over how to figure out the big O on this one here. How to figure out the runtime after I talk about runtime. It's all about source code. So in this class, everything is about programming and the implementation of the algorithm and the source code creation to make it more efficient. So that's why I say this class will hopefully improve your programming abilities so that you're coding in an efficient manner. Because even though the algorithm exists and even though you think you're implementing the algorithm correctly, lots of times you're not, or lots of times you're adding inefficiency, or you're adding something to it by what you're doing in the code, by like maybe inserting a loop inside of a loop or something, or doing some funky thing to make it work. And yes, the code works, but maybe it's not as efficient as it could be. So that's the things that we'd be looking at in this class, actually. Algorithm efficiency and implementation efficiencies. All right, so let's see. And then question number 3, so number 2, you'll be answering some questions here about efficiency. In number 2, you're going to consider this algorithm, this Java method. And so most of the code that I'm going to give you is going to be either in C++ or Java, or it's going to be pseudocode. So it's, I don't think I have any pseudocode in this first assignment, no. How do I get this down back where it was before? Jesus. Nope. There we go. Seems to be back. All right, so assignment number, question 2 is looking at some Java code, answering some questions about it. What's the runtime complexity of this method? What's the worst case? What's the best case? And then we'll also be looking at implementation in number 3, where we've got an array of integers using an array data structure with increased order, or actually it's more like a list versus a data structure. So given a target sum, we wish to determine if the array contains 2 integers that can add up together to make that sum. And so we're given some code for it, and then we're asked about the worst case scenario. And then to briefly explain your answer, explain your reasoning for it. I'll give you some information as well on how to perform proofs. Because there's like, I don't know, 100 different ways of doing it. I'll also show you a little bit about writing pseudocode. In some exercises, you'll be writing pseudocode, and some you'll be writing real programming code. So it depends on the assignment and the deliverable. So what you'll do with this is you'll work on this, all 3 parts of it. The last part was, yeah, about that implementation and describe an algorithm, or give a computer that performs better. So you're going to take this and you're going to hopefully describe another approach to solving this problem that might be more efficient, which is kind of like one of the learning objectives of this class, is to take a look at code, fix the code, update the code to make it more efficient, to make it run faster, give it better qualities. So, and so what you're going to do is you're going to turn in all of the pieces. So the source code from number 1, maybe a Word document from number 2, maybe another Word document from number 3. Who knows what you're going to have, but you're going to have an accumulation of all of this stuff. And then you're going to turn it into Canvas and I'm going to grade it for you. And then that's how we go back and forth. So then I give you a grade. Hopefully I give you 5 out of 5 and you're like, oh, that's a perfect assignment. And then otherwise I give you less than that and you fix it and you bring it back in. So eventually you'll get 5 out of 5 on all assignments. So, but you can do them all in different pieces. The one request I do have, and I do need to say this, although I didn't think originally I'd have to say this, but turn in all of the pieces together all at one time. Don't turn it in incrementally. So let's say, for example, you finish number 1, but you haven't done 2, 3, and 4, and you upload just number 1. Well, you just created more work for me because now I got to look at it and go, where's 2, 3? And then I got to give it back to you and say, well, you're missing number 2 and number 3. Turn it in again. So I don't want to have to keep doing that. So if you just wait, hold on to all 3 parts or 4 parts, and then turn them in all at the same time together in the same submission. And the submission will allow you to turn in multiple files. So you can turn in a Word file, a C++ file, whatever you need to do. Wait until you're all done with everything before turning it in, and then I grade it for you. Otherwise, we go back and forth and I give you a 0 and you have to fix it. And you might not catch it, especially if you're missing something and you're in a hurry. So questions on, and I'll go over, I haven't gone over the content of assignment number 1 yet. This is the first day, I haven't done anything yet. Just letting you know the format of this assignment. And you can actually start working on this assignment if you wanted to. Depending upon your background, you might, this is supposed to be easy. You might actually find that you're able to do this assignment without any problems. So you can actually work on some of these assignments, for example. So let's say you like heaps and trees. You can do them out of order as well. So you can turn these guys in any order you want to turn them in. Theoretically, it's nice to start with number 1, go to number 2, number 3. However, they're both, everything's available for you. It's entirely opened up, so you can work at your own pace as you go through. Some subject matters might end up being easier than others. So, questions on what you're doing for the textbook reading for the first week of class, or for the assignment number 1 that you're working towards in the next 2 weeks? It's not due till February 15th. I'm just loading you up because I'm not going to see you again until next week. So, all right. Then on that note, stop this